it's about team spirit. And winning teams are the ones who are working as a good gearbox together. And this is the message that at least what I keep in my mind, and which I keep as well for my leading team, and what I would tell to all the leaders. You have to make sure that you pass on this message to your teams, and you lead your teams by you need to have a good team. You have a good functioning team. You need a good, if you stay on soccer, a good defense, a good goalie, a good midfield, a good striker. But they have to work each other. They need to pass the ball. They have, even they don't like each other, they still have to play each other if this person stands better in the field. So it's the same at work as well. So you need the advanced purchasing with the category guys, supplier quality. They all need somehow to work together as a team, and they need to function as a team.
Thank you so much for joining another edition of The Never Ending Climb for Stronger Supply Chain and Procurement. Today, we have the joy of being joined by Filippos Siakavaras, and a passionate, energetic leader with just a few decades of procurement experience, and now the head of UX Procurement at brand new AUMOVIO. Filippos, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, Sean, for having me.
So I'm sure that every organization out there can relate to the pressure of this kind of either an acquisition or more recently a carve-out, and how that shifts the focus for a team. Can you help us understand a little bit more what that's like and what it means for procurement?
Yeah, Sean, I mean, now you're touching a very, let's say, always up to date and always on vogue topic, because we in the automotive industry, we're always seeing continuous change, of continuous movement, of consolidation, of companies getting bought, getting merged, sold, and so on. So I would say for people who are experiencing this the very first time, you have to stay open-minded. Don't get too nervous about this. Change is always something good. This is what you have to see and to say, because every change is another opportunity for you, for yourself, for the company, and therefore an open-minded view on this topic is always helping.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that eye on the goal is very, very, very important. And I think this theme of ongoing consolidation is something that continues to apply pressure to supply chains everywhere. Can you tell us a little bit more about what you're seeing there?
Yeah, supply chain is a topic that we have seen so many changes. I mean, if you just look on the last 5 years, with starting with COVID, where the whole supply chain broke down, where you had a lot of difficulties in the beginning of no demand, and then on the other side, a huge pull of demand, where you were completely out and not able to get sufficient material in, with all the problems. Then you find out that ships stop somehow in the sea, and with this, you will not be able to get material in. We were the first time talking about nearshoring, of getting back the productions in close to where you are, in order to avoid transportation risk and so on. So you have seen over the last 5 years a lot of changes in supply chain, how to make the supply chain stronger, more solid, more stable, with things that we somehow forgot, that we somehow have not seen there, and puts us from purchasing and supplier quality and supply chain into the focus, how to make sure that the companies stay still, that are still able to produce, that we're still able to get sufficient material in the production, that we're making sure that we're meeting the customer demands, and with this as well, that we are thinking of how can we stabilize the process with, as I said, nearshoring, with other activities in regards of what can we do maybe ourselves again, by make instead of buy, and so on. So this whole topic has brought us to a complete new way, and we are now thinking, and this is really a constant change. I mean, 10 years, 15 years ago, there was a huge move to East, with a lot of initiatives, how to outsource, how to get everything out, with best cost activities. What can we do there? And this has changed again. So we move now things out, now we're moving them back in, and we're talking a lot about how to strengthen local economies. And so there's a lot of geopolitical changes which you have to put in there. And purchasing is one column, one element in there in order to really make sure that we have an end-to-end good focus here.
I think that ongoing pace of change, it's relentless, it's tenacious, but on this never-ending climb, we just know that we got to climb with and roll with those changes. What do you recommend your team and other procurement leaders do to help deal with the pace of change? Because there's an inherent stress that goes with it. There's an inherent tension of, I thought we just fixed this, or, oh my God, this again, or all of those things. But you set such a great example of dealing with that with a positive energy and a focus on the forward looking, let's figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, you're touching a very good point, Sean. I mean, the changes and the hiccups that we're seeing and continuously coming up, and oh no, not again this topic. This is something which we always have in procurement and especially in automotive, where you're having constantly push as well from now if you just look on what's happening geopolitically on the market, we're seeing that the established OEMs struggle right now to keep up with this move to go to electric drive. And with this, we're seeing right now that the economy is slow. We're seeing a recession, especially in Europe, where car sales is very, very slow. People getting unsure what to buy, what to do. The answer of this is from the OEMs, more pressure on the supply chain, on the tier ones to find more ways and to reduce costs. This put you more in pressure to go to the supply chain, to come up with new ideas. With less volumes, it's always difficult because no economy of scales, and so on. So you're in a continuously stressed situation and environment, which you as a leader, and this is my message to the leaders out there, we have to stay calm. We have to be the one who are somehow keeping our team into a very, very motivated and focused topic. And we have to be the ones who are giving the good spirit into the team and keeping somehow the emotions out of this topic, keeping the pressure out. And we have to somehow cover for our teams and to give them some kind of guidance, to give them some kind of security, and as well some kind of being peaceful at work, because the pressure is tremendous. We're seeing, for me as well, first time so much changes overall. It's in the past you had one crisis, so it was more semiconductor, so you could focus on this topic and get it somehow fixed. Or you had the Dieselgate, and then you knew, okay, everything which is combustion, which is in the mode, you look into. But right now you have geopolitical, you have insecurities about duties, taxes, you have transport topics, you have exchange rate issues, you have it everywhere. You have difficulties in finding good people, in keeping good people, and so on. So it's a huge full of a bucket full of different flowers that you hold in your hands, which makes it so difficult right now. And it's getting bigger and bigger. You feel it by day to day, the flower that you carry. And yeah, for this, you need to be the one who stays positive, and you communicate your positive attitude and transport it into your own organization.
The other part that really stands out to me is in today's world, we see not just one or two factors, but that whole set of factors that are all coming to play all at once, that are driving change and taking what used to be fairly constant variables and making them a new variable that has moved substantially. And so when we're dealing with that many variables that are all moving at the same time, I think that emphasis that you put on coming back to basics is so powerful, because it is universally true, no matter whether things are on fire or whether things are going fairly smoothly for brief periods of time that we celebrate. But that idea that the things that are more universally true, those principles, are so important. I know you've spent time as a parent and a sports coach, and I have to imagine that there are some of those things that you learned there, I know there are for me, that you get to go and apply to help you be a better leader for your team and building a stronger supply chain.
Yeah, I mean, Sean, you're touching a point which is, I agree, universal and independent of industry and of age, very important. I mean, I was a soccer coach, yes, and I did the license, everything in order to be as well a good coach. So you need to do the trainings and so on, and to do something meaningful for the kids. And what I learned is the kids, even they were young. I mean, I started the kids were in between 11 and 12 years old. So you see that they're still as well not getting along with each other all the time, you know. So and there are kids that they maybe like each other more than others, and you have there a kind of a mixture of a team, and the team spirit and the winning mentality that you either win as a team or lose as a team is important. The message to give the kids, this is more than just having the best player or the best practice or the best. It's about team spirit. And winning teams are the ones who are working as a good gearbox together. And this is the message that at least what I keep in my mind, and which I keep as well for my leading team, and what I would tell to all the leaders. You have to make sure that you pass on this message to your teams, and you lead your teams by you need to have a good team. You have a good functioning team. You need a good, if you stay on soccer, a good defense, a good goalie, a good midfield, a good striker. But they have to work each other. They need to pass the ball. They have even they don't like each other. They still have to play each other if this person stands better in the field. So it's the same at work as well. So you need the advanced purchasing with the category guys, supplier quality. They all need somehow to work together as a team, and they need to function as a team. And this is for me very simple. Yeah, topic to do, which is
Yeah.
easy said but very difficult done. But you need to have a good functioning team. Otherwise, you can have the best buyers, the best quality guys, the best supply chain guys in your team. If they're not working as a team together, you really struggle.
Yeah, 100%. And I think this idea of the team members within procurement and also the procurement team within the organization, because it does no good to save 20% on a part if that part is no longer needed. And the time that went into negotiating this, and this I think gets back to the pace of change, the overall strategy, and knowing as you're passing the ball back and forth, knowing as you're shifting from second to third to fourth to fifth gear, accelerating. If you pop the clutch, it's depending on whether you do it well or poorly, the results can be dropping the clutch or accelerating quickly out of a corner. And that is
Yeah.
such an important balance to navigate and to help coach your team through.
Yeah, Sean, what we have done started with a Continental, now we continue this with AUMOVIO, is not only within our own limits of purchasing or my area. It's functioning with our colleagues from engineering, with operations, and as well with the segments and sales team, so that you have an end-to-end view. And this is the more important thing that you need to have. You need to reach out with your fellow colleagues from the other departments in order to drive the same strategy, to have an alignment, a same understanding, focus, and the same direction. Otherwise, you start. I mean, if you want to introduce a new part and you don't have the support of the R&D, it will be difficult. If you want to introduce a new supplier with a new component in production and they don't want to support you there, it's difficult. So you need to get this. And I have to say, I'm luckily within AUMOVIO, we have installed our, it's called 3F Plus initiative, which is three formations.
Yep.
So it started with purchasing, engineering, and operations as the core team, and we have our extended team, which is our sales segments, quality department, a supporting function, and we're having on the other side the suppliers, and on the other side the customers, where we try to get an end-to-end with early involvement of suppliers. I mean, we are underestimating many times the knowledge, the know-how, and the contribution suppliers can give us with their knowledge, what they're seeing as well from the market, as they're dealing with sometimes with our customers, sometimes with our competitors. And we are underestimating their knowledge, their support, and their help. and giving us direction in regards of engineering changes, in regards of what can we do in order how to optimize our quality, the outcome, our production, and so on. And this is what I start driving together with our colleagues from operations and engineering. We three set together. We need to drive this topic, and we are involving our suppliers on an early stage, getting the voice of our customer into our organization and bringing it together in order to drive this. Otherwise, you are really not working well as you're just focusing only on your purchasing or only on engineering or only maybe on purchasing on engineering. So you need to have the full end-to-end view.
Yeah, it's the stronger supply chain, not only a focus on the customer and not only a better purchasing function. And that stronger supply chain comes about from the passionate work of team members like yourself and working with the rest of the team. Filippos, I think we could talk through this for hours. I know it's getting a little bit late your time. I am very grateful for you taking some time to share your experience today and help others be inspired and learn from your wisdom. Thank you very, very much. And for all of you joining, thanks again. This has been another edition of The Never Ending Climb for Stronger Supply Chain and Procurement. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, Sean. Bye.
Bye.